Welcome back to Krail's Corner, episode 10. We've hit number 10, Coach.
Yes, we have.
It's going good. Yeah, so beat Burlingame 19-6 last week. Congrats on the win. Let's just talk about that really quick. What are your feelings about it? Let me in on how the game. I wasn't there. I couldn't watch it.
Sure.
So let's hear it.
Interesting game. It was a game where clearly their MO was to keep the score down and to run the clock and to keep the ball out of our hands. And they did a pretty good job of that, honestly. There really lacked rhythm in the game from an offensive perspective. You know, when you get your offense rolling and there's rhythm to it, one play leads to another, and it was very kind of choppy on Friday night. That being said, we went on the road on a Thursday night, which is kind of odd, and got a win, which is great, you know, and the dynamic of last week was interesting. It was an away game for the first time in a while. It was a Thursday night. It's the week before Wilcox, who's our big rival, and so I don't know that we were totally locked in as a coaching staff, as a group of players, as a team, but we did come home with a win, so that felt good. You know, we're hoping to play a few more guys and open up the score a little bit, but it never was really. We weren't able to do that based on the tightness of the score.
Okay. So I want to throw out some stats really quick from last game.
Sure.
I just want to get your little opinion on what it meant to the team. How did it go? How is it going to be implicated further? Right. So Spencer Berg, 21 total tackles. That was a big game for him coming back. That was one of his bigger games. How's that? How did he look?
Great.
What
Great.
What do
we mentioned last week that he's coming along, and he's almost he's very close to where he was at the beginning of the year, end of last year, and so the timing in that regard is really good. It's taken him a couple weeks to kind of just confidence in the leg and really feel like he can run around. Obviously, this week with Wilcox and into the playoffs, it's we're going to need him at his best. So that's good to see.
So another guy, Ari Valdez, had 6 QB hurries, led the defensive line from the statistical advantage, led the defensive line. Right. How does he look? Are we going to implicate him more? We talked about getting him on the line
I think
more
so.
often.
I think so. He's not a big, stout guy. He's quick. He's fast. He's so disruptive that he really presents a challenge to teams. Really the only way you can block him is to put 2 big maulers on him and double team him. And if you do that, then you're freeing up somebody else, right? A linebacker, sure. Another defensive lineman perhaps. So that's great. Ari, he flashed the other night quite often, like you said, and was very disruptive, especially in the second half.
Yeah.
And did a great job.
I mean, that's awesome to hear, but another person in the pass rush. Always definitely a victory. 2 guys that deserve mention. Hobson and Nick Hobson, boxer cop, Zach Young, had, I believe, 90 return yards combined.
Right.
No, 100. They had 100. They had 45 and 55 on 3 returns.
Gotcha.
Just a good return day for them. And
Great.
I mean, anytime they're doing their job well.
And Nick actually had a touchdown called back.
Really?
You're supposed to be politically correct, but it was an awful call by the official. They called us for blocking the back, and really it was. Our guy ran into a guy, and
it's not his fault. It's not blocked.
Anyway, those guys were great. Boxer's been great in all facets on the offensive side with the ball in his hand and whatnot. And Nick's a true wildcat.
Yeah.
Every day at practice, works super hard. He's willing to do whatever we ask him to do. We had him back returning punts this last game and kicks and whatnot, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
It's great to hear. Yeah. So I want to talk about injuries really quick before we get to Wilcox. Just
sure.
Get it out of the way. Injuries, Goldsberry coming back next week. Yes, no? Are we looking at a memo return?
Yeah.
Great to hear.
He passed all the tests, all of that. I think today is Tuesday. He's going to have his full clearance to get back and practice in full, which is great.
Awesome.
He's another disruptor on defense, and we're excited to have him back.
Anyone else injured that we know of?
It looks like Leighton Doslak's going to miss this week.
Really?
He tweaked his knee the other night at Burlingame, and we were hoping that it might be a quick recovery thing, and it still may be actually in the big picture. But it just sadly doesn't look like he'll be ready for Wilcox this week. But
too bad. Like the way Leighton's been playing.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we have a couple other guys that are moving toward getting back. Nathan Rivola is one that comes to mind, but focusing on the positive, having Nate back will be a great little shot in the arm for us.
Yeah. So let's talk about Wilcox really quick. Now that injuries are done, let's move on to what's next week. Going off to Wilcox, they're 6-2 as well. So are you looking at this that this is for league? Is that the kind of?
It really is. I mean, They actually have a non-league game, their last
Yeah, they go to
game
Santa
of the
Clara,
year,
if I'm
right? Their
correct.
big rivalry game. So they've already played 4 games in league. So if they win, they're outright champs.
Yeah.
If we win, we will at least have
Leaves
clinched
another
a
week.
co-championship, right?
Okay.
So we would finish, if MA should knock us off the following week, we would finish with 1 loss and be co-champs with Wilcox. So
Okay.
that's the way they do it. You know, the head-to-head thing would tilt our way if we win this week, but technically it's called a co-championship. So, and you know, the rivalry's great. You look back the last 6 or 7 years, whoever's won that game, our game, has been the league champion.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're on a little bit of a roll here, knock on wood. Hopefully we can keep that going. I think it's been 3 years now that we've come up on the positive side. So hoping to keep that going.
So I don't want to maybe overstep my means here, but statistically looking at Wilcox, they got one guy. Number 8, their quarterback can run. The guy can throw for a little bit.
Yeah.
What are we gonna? Are you planning on scouting somebody, or how is the plan to deal with this guy?
You know, their offense is such that it really puts 11 guys in a position where they have to do their one job. It's that veer offense, and if you have guys that start doing other guys' jobs, then that's when the big play hit.
Okay.
You know, obviously we're cognizant of him. He is statistically their best player. He's really good with the ball in his hand. Like you said, they sprint him out. They'll throw the ball with him as well. So he's a guy that we have to obviously corral. And, you know, they played Sacred Heart Prep over the weekend.
Yes.
And he had one long run, and that was for the game-winning touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
You know, so you can keep him and keep him, and then boom, he breaks one, and it changes the game. So, so we'll definitely have our eyes on him. They also have a couple good other running backs that, you know, if you fall asleep, they can pop one on you. So hopefully our guys, you know, we've had a good start to the week of practice. We were here over the weekend kind of previewing. That's one nice thing about a Thursday game is we had a Friday intro to Wilcox.
Yeah, you have 2 more days of rest than them because they played Saturday,
yeah,
right?
and we met on Saturday and did another walkthrough. So, you know, hopefully the preparation will be good. We'll see.
Okay. So I want to hear a couple things. How's the locker room taking Wilcox? This is a big game for them. I'm assuming there's a lot of some nerves, maybe some excitement.
Yeah.
What combination is that, and how does it affect the team overall?
It's pretty loose. It's pretty excited. I mean, you know, yesterday's practice was one that the level of focus was really high for a Monday, which was great. As the week goes on, the nerves kind of ratchet up a little bit. And so our job, you know, as coaches is keep it sane. You know, we don't have to add undue pressure on these guys, right? We want them to enjoy the night, go have fun, don't get caught up in all the what ifs, right?
Yeah.
Just this is what I see, this is what I do. And, you know, this group's pretty loose in general, which is good. I like that. You know, we're having some fun at practice, which is good. You got to enjoy it, you know. And so while our focus seems to be really good at this point, you know, we got to enjoy being out there as well.
Of course.
So don't want to put too much on the guys, but they all know. Yeah. They all know what's at stake.
So last thing before we're done here today, I just want to talk about some starting positions on the defense really quick, wondering who's going to be going in for Wilcox. Sure. So for the corners, there's 3 guys so far that I can really think of. There's Aaron Bryn, Theo Greenland, and Leon Sorosky. Out of the 3, who's looking to be the starters for?
Well, we held Aaron out last week at Burlingame.
Yes.
He had a kind of a minor shoulder injury, so we have him back this week. So if he's healthy and deemed good to go, he'll play.
Okay.
And so that'll probably put Leon on the bench to start. But, you know, we have packages where all 3 will play at the same time as well. You know, your nickel coverage, whatever you call it. And so, you know, our hope is that Aaron can hold up physically and, you know, make it through the game. One of the things that, you know, Wilcox is probably 80% run, 20% pass. So the corners not only have to cover, but they have to be able to tackle in space too. And so, you know, not worried about Aaron covering so much as coming up and making a tackle. You know, is he physically able to do that? So hopefully he is. And we get through. If not, you know, Leon's chomping at the bit to get in there and done a good job while he's been.
So another position group, linebackers, really quick. Leighton Dosselat going down obviously clears the picture a little bit from the 3 middle linebackers we're looking at, although Leighton plays outside, if I'm correct, as well. Who are the starting linebackers looking right now? Let's go 4-man.
Sure. So RJ Cannon's played every down at our Sam/defensive end. It's kind of a hybrid. And then we'll have Henry Masters, Spencer, and Nate Goldsberry.
Fantastic.
That's what it looks like, to start. And again, we're trying to really define each guy's job and make it specific to this week and what they have to do. And so, those are 3 senior. Well, actually, Henry's a junior, but a second-year varsity guy, and so their experience, they know what's going on, and hopefully it works out.
I'm excited to see the game. It's going to be a high-intensity game. The sideline's going to be great. Fans are going to be great. Expecting a lot. Those linebackers are looking dangerous, Coach. It's going to be a great defense, great offensive game.
Yeah.
Real excited.
Good.
Catch us next week for episode 11 of Krail's Corner, following up the Wilcox game, looking into Menlo Atherton, a little bit into the playoffs, too.
You got it.
Catch you guys next time.